And so that was then, and then you did have a turning point, didn't you? So
Yeah.
tell us what happened and how you managed to transform your life.
Well, it was in December in 2014 when I was taken into Warwick with acidosis. I came out and picked up a drink. Actually, the day I was leaving hospital when they were discharging me, they'd detoxed me for a week on Valium, and I was going back to live with my mum, who I've been living with for a year with dementia. I was caring for her. And the day they discharged me, I thought, I don't want to go home. I don't want to go back to what I was living with. I can't deal with living with my mum with dementia on my own. Um, so immediately in the hospital, I started getting huge anxiety about it. So I actually left the hospital ward and went and bought half a bottle of vodka and brought it back to the hospital ward, drank it on the ward, because I'd had this feeling of disease again. It was huge. So I got a taxi home to my mum's and I bought another half a bottle on the way back. Um, and anyway, so it all went back to how it was. And I just, this one day, I woke up and I felt so ill. And I started seeing shadows. I was talking to people that weren't in the room. I was having hallucinations. And I just cried out literally to the universe and said, please help me. I can't do this anymore. I didn't want it. It was no life. It was just an existence. And I really didn't want to even exist. I'd had several overdoses of paracetamol and all sorts of different medication. And I put myself onto the internet and looked up for a treatment centre. I thought, I've got to find a good one this time. This has got to be the final one. So I booked myself into a really good treatment centre called the Manor in Southampton, and it was the only place that would take my dog with me. I'd already paid for 6 myself, which over the years has cost me about £80,000. And I went in there for a month, and it was a very good treatment centre in the sense that they treated me with some sort of respect, because most of them, you're not treated very well at all, like a criminal really, the worst person ever in the world. And I came out after a month, and somebody had said to me that they'd been seeing a life coach that had really helped her. And I said, well, I'll do anything. You know, I'm going to go to AA like they've told me again, going to get a sponsor, but anything new, I'll try. I literally would have chopped my own leg off to get rid of this addiction. It was so painful. And I was introduced to Jacqueline Hollows and she became my life coach. And I just thought it was another counsellor type for people that with an addiction. So I started seeing her once a week, and it was I'd had so much counselling over the 18 years, every single week nearly. It was different, whereas she didn't try to fix me, and she just listened an awful lot, and let me talk without going back to the past. She obviously wanted to know what had gone on in the past, but she didn't focus on that. She focused on what I'd done today and what I was going to do later and what I was looking forward to and the good things that I've been doing in the week. And nothing to do with, oh, but you've been addicted for this amount of time and what happened in your childhood. We didn't go back into any of that. And gradually over the time, I didn't realise she was introducing me to the 3 principles. And when she told me I wasn't broken and that I didn't need fixing, I can remember looking at her with absolute horror and saying, but I am. I was born an alcoholic and I have a disease of alcoholism. And she just sort of laughed and said, you haven't. You've never been broken and you've never need fixing. And that was just like I had a like someone had walked over my grave. It was like, whoa, you know, that's the first time I've ever been told that. Because I've been told since the age of 6 that I was broken, and that I was an anxious child, an anxious adult, an anxious teenager, and that it would follow me to my grave. And gradually, she started giving me books to read on the 3 principles, and talking about thought and feeling and experience of life. And it suddenly dawned on me that my addiction had been all my responsibility, because I'd always blamed everybody else for my drinking. You know, I drank because of my childhood, I drank because I don't like my job, I drank because somebody died. And it suddenly was like an absolute wow moment of, oh my gosh, it just came from my thinking. And that thinking was producing a feeling that I was trying to fix. And I was taking every thought seriously and thinking I had to follow it through. If I wanted to fix a feeling and thought of a drink, well, I'd follow it through with an action. And that was creating every experience I'd ever have in my life. And when it came down to the simplicity of it, it was all down to me and my thinking. It was like, oh my gosh, there is a chance of change. And if I'm responsible, then I'm responsible for change. And it was literally that simple. It was so astonishing. But I've done a lot of studying now about 3 principles, and I'm actually a practitioner now, because I'm so passionate about sharing this to people with addiction, or in the criminal justice service, anywhere where people don't think there's hope, there is hope. Yeah, so that's where it all started. So I'm now 2.5 years sober, thanks to the 3 principles, and I don't even think of alcohol. This is what amazes me. And I've just come back from Spain, and while I was there, I bought half a bottle of vodka for a man in the hotel, and it was a lady that I know very well, Holly Mitchell, pointed out to me. She said, "You've had that bottle of vodka in your room for a week." And I said, oh my gosh, I never even thought that it was in the room.
Wow.
And that, you know, I have these insights now that I don't even see for myself. But, you know, I've got over my fear of flying, fear of being alone. I'm happy in my own skin. If I have any feelings of disease, I have the confidence to know that it will pass. I don't need to fix it. I have quiet mind now that I've never had. And I just feel at peace 95% of the time. My life is just wonderful.
Wow. Oh, Sally. And what occurred to me when you're speaking is, you shared about the 364 days, and it seems like so hard work to really sort of stay away from the alcohol, and you just stick to 1 bottle. Whereas this seemed to be something where you just went to a life coach and you didn't even have to go through all the stuff that happened. You didn't have to go to several different meetings. That's what I didn't hear that you was lot of doing, but something clicked and your life changed as a result. Could it be really that simple?
Yeah, it was that simple. And I did, when I was seeing Jacqueline, I did continue to go to AA, because when you go to AA, they say unless you work the program, you will relapse. So I did have this fear that if I let go of AA, it could happen. But then nobody told me to stop going to AA, and I think people were waiting for me to have my own insight. And I went to a meeting one night and I said, my name is Sally and I'm an alcoholic. And I'd been in a year sober, and I thought, how can I still be an alcoholic when I don't drink? This doesn't seem to fit. And then I was talking about my past and what I'd done and what an awful person I'd been. And I thought, but that's not me now. I don't drink. I'm a good person. I'm sober. I'm happy. This can't be right. So I made the decision to stop going to AA, and I haven't been for a year and a half, but I would never criticize it. But it was that simple that now I don't have to work at staying sober at all. I just realized that I'm okay. I have this innate health that was always there that I didn't see, but I see now how well I am and how resilient I was through all those years of my addiction were the hardest thing to go through. And I got through it. And I am so privileged to have found the principles. And I also feel, and I don't know what it is, that my addiction, if I hadn't been an addict, I would never have found the principles. So I'm very privileged to be one of the people in the world that have this understanding, because a lot of people, even with out addiction, are very unhappy and suffer with anxiety and stress that is not necessary, because they're not broken and they have this innate health that we all have that's working with us all the time. And I just want to share it with the world, really.
And you are, aren't you? You are in your own way, and I know you have plans. Coming back to the thing about you're not broken, and that's something I hear time and again as a psychiatrist and also as a coach. That somewhere, people might have said something, people might have got feedback when they were a child or later, and then they just come to believe that given the labels they have got, whether it's physical health or mental health, they must be broken. And then it becomes their identity. But I'm broken. And when they hear at a very deeper level that that's not true, that can't be true. But it's different to thinking that I'm not broken and really having that experience and really feeling it at the core. There's a difference there, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we carry these labels around our whole lives. I mean, I had that label from the age of 6. And my dad was an alcoholic and was addicted to Valium as well. He had always fixed a feeling. So part of me thinks that was learnt behaviour. I'd seen my dad fixing a feeling too from a very young age, because he thought he was broken. And I thought, God, my poor dad went through that for 90 years nearly, and he was never broken either. And he didn't need to fix that feeling. He used to sit in his own little head thinking, I'm anxious, I'll fix it with a Valium or a drink. And it was so simple if he'd have known that he wasn't broken and he didn't need fixing, and that his anxiety was coming through his thinking. So I see now that I was addicted to thinking and believing my thinking and thinking that I've got to follow it through, and not realizing I always thought a feeling came from the outside. It was somebody dying that made me feel anxious, but it was only my thinking about that event that made me feel anxious. I mean, that was huge. So any experience I have, I can make it how I want. I can have a horror movie today, or I can have a comedy just through my thinking. That's just huge.
Yeah. And I guess when you're feeling something that you are not comfortable with, it seems that alcohol was also something that can fix that feeling and make you feel good. So it was like, when I feel good, that's because of drinking the alcohol.
Yeah. And when the alcohol didn't work, I'd start on taking paracetamol, something just to numb the feeling. And when I came out of the treatment centre sober, I thought, well, how am I going to fix the feeling now? Because I never can drink and I never want to. So I even considered starting taking cannabis, and I'd never touched drugs in my life. But I didn't think I'd be able to live my life without some sort of fix from the outside. And it's just, thank God I never found cannabis, mind you. With the understanding now, I'd realise I don't need anything.
Yeah.
You know, I have everything I need.
So Sally, how would you like to sum up this understanding of the principles behind innate health and resilience, and it's also known as the three principles? How would you like to sum up this understanding in very simple words that people might understand and not get too confused about what this might be?
Well, I've learned a lot, but the basics of it for me is that we are born with this innate health that most people don't realize they have, and that every thought we have produces a feeling physically in us. Can be, good, bad, indifferent, whatever. And that feeling creates every experience we ever have. So by not listening to all those thoughts, and not taking them seriously, I seem to have got quiet mind. And listening to my wisdom as well, which I actually call is like a gut feeling. Wisdom is telling us what we really need to do for our innate health. And if I listen to my wisdom, things always go well for me. But yeah, it is as simple as we create all our own experiences through our thinking. And it's hard to say by changing your thinking, you can change your feeling. You can't change your thoughts. But by not following them through and taking everyone seriously, and I call it like fighting with a thought. I might have a thought come into my head about something, but I don't give it any time in my head. I don't give more thinking to that thought. I just try and let it go through like the river of thought. I let that thought go. So it's just having quiet mind and this understanding that we're not broken. Nobody is born broken.
Beautiful. So, Sally, so you said you have trained to become a practitioner. Have you started practicing as a practitioner? Do you have a website that people could sort of go to?
No, I haven't yet. I mean, what I'd really like to do is to work in an addiction centre or something three principles related, because that's the only thing I have a passion for now, because I know it works, 100% works and can help so many people. But at the moment, I haven't had anything come from that forthcoming yet. But then I have the confidence and wisdom to know something will come when it's right for me. So I'm not sort of desperately looking for work, although I do need work. So my idea is to set up my own counselling service for people with addiction, and do one-to-one counselling using the three principles understanding.
Yeah. And beautiful, isn't it? Because you have been there firsthand. It's not like you just trained to be a practitioner and you're bringing your theoretical knowledge. You have been there, done it. You really understand where people are because you have been there. So that's a very powerful place to be in, because you can, it's about you have dual roles. So in the past you had youth services, and now you're sharing, you're giving as a practitioner.
Yeah, that's what I really want to do. Yeah.
Sally, what is your core message for people who have alcohol dependence, or carers of people who suffer from alcohol dependence and really don't have any hope? They tried everything out there. They have tried AA, they have tried treatment centers, and they want to change. What would your core message be?
That there is hope, 100% hope, if people out there could get the understanding excuse me, understanding of the three principles, it will transform your life 100%. When people can realize that their addiction is coming from them and it can change, and suddenly you can be free from addiction 100%.
Yeah. And it's not just free from addiction and really go on struggling in life. You're free from addiction, but you're also having a quiet mind, and you seem to be enjoying life like never before.
Yeah, I'm free from that washing machine head that I used to have, because I have quiet mind. Yeah, and my thinking has calmed down. It's clear. So yeah, it's just transformed everything in my life, because everything I do now is in a totally different way than I used to. Everything I do is in a calm way. I don't worry about anything that I've done in the past or anything in the future. I now realise there's no point about worrying tomorrow. I know people say that's a simple thing to say, but I don't. I just live in this moment I have now, and this moment I have now is a great one, because I'm sitting here well, happy and healthy, and that's all I have is this moment.
Wow, beautiful. Sally, is there anything else you would like to say that we haven't spoken about already?
No, I just hope that, with wonderful people like yourself, that this can be shared with so many millions of people that are suffering with addiction or stress, anxiety, depression, anything, or that they feel that they have a low well-being, state of well-being, because my state of well-being is wonderful now.
Sally, this was an absolute delight. I really enjoyed the conversation. And as a psychiatrist, as well as a coach, I'm sitting here thinking, wow, this is real, guys. It's not made up. If someone like Sally, who had chronic dependence and had done everything and really lost hope, if she can, if her life can be transformed like this by an understanding, is really worth having a look at it, at the list, isn't it, Sally? And sort of just take it from there. But if you really are interested, sort of I'm going to share this video, and also I have lots of blog posts, and I write about the three principles. So please have a look at that. Thank you so much for your time, Sally. I really appreciate this, and I know whoever is going to watch this going to get something out of this, and at the least it will make them curious. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.